Before we get to the mayor of the city dump.
Nothing else important is happening. You can all go home now. Right?
You're close. Before the mayor of the city dump, the mayor of Seattle. Greg Nichols.
Brian, thank you. Hi, I'm Greg, and I'm a Patches pal. But we're here to kick off a fundraising drive to make this a reality. And we're going to do that by providing these wonderful pavers with a short memory, a short thought about what JP and Gertrude meant to all of us. And I have the honor of being able to purchase the first of the pavers. And it says, "Best wishes to a fellow mayor, Greg Nichols." JP, Gertrude. On three, we're going to take a look at the piece of art that we're striving to raise the dollars for with the pavers, and let's take a look at it. 1, 2, 3. All right, all right.
Wow. Boy, one of those figures looks great. You're right, I really look good. Well, I'm impressed. It's just terrific, Mark. Let's give Mark a nice hand. There are too many people to thank. You saw them all. They gave a nice little talk about what JP and Gertrude did, but more important, you people did it. You were sticking by us all the time.
Yes.
If we didn't, if you didn't like our program, we wouldn't have been on that long. So I have to credit you, people, when you were 4, 5, 6, and 8, and 10, and 13. And I had some older people too, believe me. Speaking of black and white, there's a little story. One time I was at a store out in North Seattle, and a little girl about 5 years old came up to me and she said, "You're not JP Patches." And I said, "Why not?" "JP's black and white." So she had it all down,
Oh, yeah.
I honestly don't know what to say other than thank all the people here, and thank Brian for doing all this hard work, and the mayor for showing up, and Susie too, and Mark and John, and I probably missed a few names, but I want to thank Gertrude too for instead of the fact that Gertrude and I never got engaged. We were close. One time that evil person, I Am Rags, took over the program, and unbeknownst to Gertrude thought I Am Rags was JP, and Gertrude showed up in a wedding dress to marry who she thought was JP, and it turned out it was that evil I Am Rags. We got rid of I Am Rags, and we came up with the second meanest man in the world, Boris S. Ward. And he's in the area, folks. Hold on to your purses and wallets. The kids used to come up to me and say, "If Boris is the second meanest man in the world, who's the meanest?" And I would say, "I think you can figure it out." And they go, "Yeah, my principal, Mr. Peterson." They come up with someone, I'll turn this over to lovely Gertrude, but let me tell you how Gertrude was born.
Are you there?
At one time, we didn't have Gertrude. It was a pretend name that I had when I picked the phone up and said, "Gertrude, let me speak to the mayor," for example. Well, one day, Bob was behind the camera, floor director. I picked up the phone and I said, "Gertrude, And Bob said,
I'll send it right down.
and we all laughed. And I said, you know what would be funny? Tomorrow morning, why don't you show up as Gertrude? That was mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 was, I don't want to see what you look like. Well, the next morning, there was a knock on the door. I said, who is it?
It's me, Julius, Gertrude.
I said, boys and girls, we're going to meet Gertrude. The door opened, and lovely Gertrude walked in. And Gertrude was dressed the way you see Gertrude today. But underneath this gorgeous gown, Gertrude had 2 of the biggest balloons you've ever seen. And as we were talking, one of the balloons started drifting south. And this big ex-Marine reaches down and says, up there, big fella. I thought we were off the air. Up there, big fella. And that was the birth of Gertrude. And now I'd like to introduce that lovely, that beautiful Miss City Dump, the one and only Gertrude.
I hated singing that song. You know that? I watch that stuff on television now with the Trump fella and the lady. I still taste like that. Anyway, we had a great time, and it was a fun thing. But as like Chris says, we would not. Pardon me. JP says we wouldn't have been there if it hadn't been for you. You were the ones to thank. Thank you, all of you guys, because you sweat through all of our idiocy, and there was a lot of that. It's a funny thing on all of the books all of the CDs and stuff that have been out there. You seem to remember one thing, and that's when Animal Catch a Can fell on the floor reading Henny Penny. You know? That kind of started a couple of weeks before that when Johnny Carson was on, and Ed gave him this, okay, read this book. And he looked at his, I can't read that book. Read the book. It says cocky, locky, and ducky. I can't read that kind of thing. You know? Okay, Chris goes on vacation. Joe Toohey is the director. Joe says, read this book. No, I'm not reading that book. So I'm reading the stuff, and kids can't hear this stuff, and I start laughing. And I laughed so damn hard I fell on the floor. That's the real truth to that. But we wouldn't have had it. We wouldn't have had this without you all. Mayor, I love you, man. You're okay, and I'll vote for you till I quit. Kind of thing.